Last year I made a video on a Hobie Kayak trolling motor that runs off a car jumper starter battery pack. It's a little battery pack. And I've been getting a lot of messages from people asking me about an update on the trolling motor. So in this video I'm going to talk about what works on the video and what works for the trolling motor and what didn't work for the trolling motor. And it'll be a good video for people who are thinking about building a trolling motor. So if you've seen the previous video, one of the unique things about this trolling motor is that it's power source. I used a little car jumper starter battery pack. It weighs about a pound and a half. I think it's like a pound and a half or something like that. But and it's strong enough to power the motor for about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on speed you use. But it's a really good power source, and it's really small and light. The only downfall is that once you drain the power over 50%, your performance really take a hit on that. So usually I just carry a couple of battery packs, and it'll last me the whole day. So last year when I was building my Hobie Kayak trolling motor, I did some research, and I decided to go with the Hobie oversized cassette, because the oversized cassette can fit the Hobie Outback and the Hobie Pro Angler. And the oversized cassette fits real nicely into the slot. And all I did was put some extra pad in the front and the back of the cassette, and it creates a really tight fit. And what this did was I didn't have to actually put a metal rod through the cassette, because it wasn't pushing against the rod at all. It was pushing against the whole kayak. And since I didn't have to install the metal rod, I could just put the trolling motor in the center of the cassette. So one of the biggest problems with any kayak motor is that it creates a lot of vibration. It's not just a Hobie kayak, it's all kayaks. So when you put a trolling motor on a kayak, the hull of the kayak amplifies the vibration of the trolling motor, and the sound will scare off the fish. So I did everything I could to actually mitigate the vibration. So the first thing I did was I cut down the length of the trolling motor shaft, and this greatly reduced the vibration. And the second thing I did was I drilled into the cassette. I filled it with some spray foam. So the cassette is now a solid piece, and this greatly reduces the vibration of the motor. Then I took the yellow cap of the spray foam, cut a round piece out, and used that to weld close the hole I drilled into the cassette. So the third thing I did to help with the vibration was that I made the whole trolling motor one piece. I two-part epoxy the living daylight of the whole trolling motor. I mean, it doesn't move left or right, up and down anymore. It's a solid one piece, and this greatly helped reduce the vibration. And there's no need to have the trolling motor turn left or right, because the Hobie Kayak already has a rudder that you can use to turn. And it's way more efficient, because if you're using a trolling motor to turn left and it's at the center of the kayak, it's really inefficient. Where if it's the rudder, you actually turn a lot sharper. So the only problem with having the trolling motor being one piece that doesn't move is that after you use the trolling motor, when you stop the trolling motor, sometimes the propeller is perpendicular to the trolling motor and won't come off the slot. So you have to get the propeller parallel to the trolling motor, and you can't really slide your hand. So what I did was I took a clothes hanger and I made a hook, and then I just reach down with the clothes hanger and pull up the propeller, and so it's parallel, and then slide it out. So after using the trolling motor for about a year, I really like the trolling motor, and I would recommend anybody who has a Hobie kayak to actually just try to make one. But I didn't end up using it to fish as much as I often thought I would. What I did was I would use it sometime to get to a fishing spot and then fish, and then a few times I used it to do some trolling, but it was a little bit too fast. But I used it most of the time after a long day of fishing just to return home. Or when I'm going on a long trip, I use it as a backup in case my Hobie drive breaks and I'll have a way to get home. Because on a single charge, I can probably cover about 4 or 5 miles on that thing easily.